Good morning. This is AM 1340 WGRV. I'm Reid Seals, and I'm here with Greene County Mayor David Crum for our monthly discussion about the Greene County Commission meeting. Good morning, Mayor Crum.
Good morning, Reid. Good morning, Greene County.
First off, this is kind of the tough question. What made you vote yes to the 10-cent increase?
Well, my opinion is the right thing to do. I mean, you look at our budgets and you look at the cost and the need to fund county government, and this commission over their duration has cut a tremendous amount out of spending and really looks in detail at spending cost, and we do little things. Back whenever I first took office, I took telephone landlines out of the convenience centers and replaced them with cell phones, which basically saved $5,000 a year. So you continually look at those things. And yesterday we had a meeting of purchasing to look at where we sell our tires, which is very expensive tires that come in. And we're changing that to somebody, and we think it'll be about $7,300. So you have to constantly look, but it's expensive. I mean, just look at the various services that county government does provide and things, and so we've looked at it, and I think most people know that we had a tremendous deficit, that we had to do a tax anticipation note when we came in, and the wheel tax got us a little bit of breathing room and improved. But I've said for over a year, I've harped on, look at our buildings, the shape and the deterioration. You can't let things just go without fixing them. And so that's part of the process. And, when I looked at that and we got to a point, there was a whole lot of votes that came up before we got to the 10 cents.
About 9, I think there was.
Yeah, so there was just a lot of votes. And when it got to that point, to where we were as close to an agreement, equally matched, it came down to me to make a decision, and it was the right decision to make. But we also kind of did a little qualifier after that we'll hit, and I would ask people that may qualify, talk to the trustee whenever you get your tax notice. Look on the back. It's on there about people that may qualify for some reductions that can qualify for low income and elderly. And so that was kind of the caveat I kind of teased whenever it realized it was a tiebreaker, and you were there, so it's kind of set back and was like, okay, we're going to take a minute and think about this, which there wasn't a thought. I knew that's what needed to be done, but I kind of put that little in there that, okay, Commissioner Berkey had made that recommendation, but we need to pass this to give a little bit more of incentive to the low-income elderly to help them out on their tax break. So look at the back of your tax notice when you get that and see if you qualify.
And with the current budget that was passed, how much is still in capital projects, and where would you like that money to go first?
I think we left about 3 cents in there, so, and I'm going off the top of my head without having that right in front of me, but I'm thinking, and correct me if you remember, but I think it was about 3 cents, so somewhere about $360,000. And we really, whenever we finish at the courthouse, and their estimate now is about the end of August, we're only going to have about $60,000 maybe left in that. And since that's all coming out of property tax, we really won't have anything till January that we can do, so that's giving us some time to come into place. And that's a good question on where first. I mean, we've talked about front loaders at the convenience centers and solid waste. The one we've got that does recyclables has about 300,000 miles, and solid waste director Jim Greene said it's probably in the best shape of any of them. But that's where you generate some revenue with cardboard and the recycling and that, and we'll be increasing that as we get those containers out at the schools for cardboard and newspaper. So, and it picks up recycling around, so you'll make sure it's there. So that is one, but we've got a lot of roofs that are leaking, so we're going to have to kind of figure. So, because that front end loader's somewhere 250 to 300,000, so that's the 1 year product that we've got there. So there's still a tremendous amount of needs. If we'd have had that 360 10 years ago, would have been pretty good. So it's going to take 5 to 6 years at least to get our buildings and the equipment that we're looking at and those things to get back in good shape. But we didn't get in this shape overnight, so it takes a while to get fixed.
And can you explain the need to file a lawsuit against opioid distributors?
I don't mean this negative, but unless you've been living under a rock, you can't be unaware of the devastating impact the opioid epidemic has had on not just Greene County, but Tennessee and the Appalachian, our country as a whole. Everyone has to know somebody that's been impacted by the addiction process. And if you or your family's not been impacted directly by somebody, you just need to thank God that you've not been. But you've been impacted by the economic impact of it, by people that aren't working, that are going through rehab. We see a whole lot of help wanted signs out there, and people can't pass the drug test. So it's having a tremendous impact on our economy. And we saw where the attorney generals up here in the states even looking at suing in a different mindset. We're looking at the distributors as who this is, and I made the comment whenever insurance committee discussed it, we shouldn't be talking about the financial aspects of what Greene County may get somewhere 7 years down the road, I think was the estimate. Is this the morally right thing to do? To some, don't want to sue, don't like to sue. That's not something that comes naturally, I think, to most of us here to try to resolve. But sometimes somebody has to pay for their negligence. And I think the manufacturers and the distributors and several others were negligent in their contribution to this opioid. So that's the reason that I believe we saw that it was appropriate for us to join into this suit. As it was explained last night, we have attorneys but this is a bigger picture. You can't do this just as the loan attorney. You have to go with firms and multiple firms, kind of like the tobacco lawsuits and the milk lawsuits, and those, is a bigger picture than just Greene County. So that's why we needed to look at joining into this suit.
And why did regulations have to be made before tiny homes could be allowed in the county?
Reid, I'm going to welcome you to join in on some of this because
Okay.
Reid sits in on a lot of those meetings and stuff also. And I tease people and say, as a mayor, I'm a generalist, not a specialist. I go from animal control to building, planning, and zoning to emergency medical to emergency management and some of those. So I kind of have quick overviews of things. But my understanding is the tiny homes and things are getting to be popular. Especially one or two, either your people my age group are thinking about retiring and don't want a big house and our house isn't big, but don't want a big house to kind of keep up and want to travel more, or the young people like you and your wife that want to have a little more free time to get out and do stuff. So there was not a real zoning place where tiny homes could be placed and inspected, and the bottom line was safety. We want to make sure that people might not be buying something that might not be designed, engineered, and built safely to where if it was hauled in, as many can be hauled like a small trailer, or if it was built on site, that it was built to codes and put in a location that fit, and especially where you had egress, that if the thing did catch on fire and you were in the back corner, that you had windows that were large enough to escape and that you wouldn't be trapped. So that was really the reason, was safety, and to allow for a place for them to be so that whenever they're put in, that we know they are safe for people to move into. And you can correct me because, like I say,
That sounds good.
You were in all those meetings too, and
Sounds exactly like what Tim Tweed would have said.
Okay.
And you touched on this earlier, but can you give an update on the shooting range and courthouse repairs?
The shooting range right now, really the holdup is to get someone to do the plumbing and the electrical work on that range part to get it in, so then we can get in to start doing that. So I've called different people and that I think can do that work, and they're busy, which is a good thing. it shows that people I know that do quality work are keeping busy and remodeling and things like that. So, we're still working on that thing. It's one of those things that just, I've never built a house, but it just, I guess, is in the same. It's just like hard to get all the pieces to fall together. We're getting there. White's is very close in finishing up with what they're doing, but it just seems like you take a step forward and a half a step back, and so it's just a little frustrating. But I hear a lot of people really want that thing finished to be used. So I think when we get it finished, that it's going to get a lot of use and be a tremendous asset to our community.
What about the courthouse?
Is there and that's where a lot of that formation of the guttering and stuff, and you've seen people there for a long time, really had to kind of do some pushing and some encouraging on that. They were a little slower getting moving than what I was happy with, but they've been there and they're working. And Mel, our maintenance guy, said he's expecting right now their estimates at the end of August, and they're having to do a lot of hand forming on that guttering because it just doesn't come. There's just a lot of angles and sections as you look at that thing. And I said, as long as they're there working every day that they can, then they're making progress, and I'm happy with it because it's a contract. It's not by the hour, so they're on their nickel somewhat. But they're there and they're working, and you probably see them as you're going in and out. So that's the thing is, if they weren't showing up and weren't working, we'd be having some more conversations. But
and last of all, what's going on in the county this month?
Well, a bunch. I picked up as I came in. I had the dates wrong. We've got a fair coming up August 7th through 13th. Mm-hmm. So I think out there said they've added in a day that the rides, so probably
on
need
Sunday.
So you probably really need to look at the schedule. Looks like it's varying a little ways. And I came in and Nathan said football's 3 weeks away, and school is right at a month, August 5th or so.
Yeah, Greene County schools, I think, are the second week in August. Not quite sure, but yes, I think so.
Yeah. So, and this is supposed to be one of the hottest weeks of the summer, but it's summer in the South, so it's supposed to be hot. And I prefer heat to cold. I don't do cold well. But just a lot, and people out vacation going things. I always say stay hydrated, use sunscreen, and be safe out there as you're in the water and things. And the splash pad over at Eastview, I've noticed open, was going by and glanced over one day, and my daughter and grandson was in there playing with some people, and so it's getting a lot of use. So, and my nephew, they've been there, so it's a good facility for that smaller child. So looked like they were having a blast at doing it. So get out and enjoy the summer while we can.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor, for joining us today. My name is Reid Seals, and I'm with AM 1340 WGRV.
Thank you, Reid.